Hello, thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of our 2020 adventure series. I wanted to start off again by hoping you are all well and staying safe. We left off our last episode driving back to Texas and then heading off on another adventure. Let's get this thing going. The time is now mid-July and we are flying off to Cleveland, Ohio. We would be spending the next 3 weeks in Ohio working at Cedar Point. Cedar Point is owned by the same parent company as our park and needed help with their summer operation. Working at Cedar Point was an awesome experience, and being in Ohio provided us with some great opportunities to have some fun adventures on our days off. On our first set of days off, we rented a car and headed east for a fun road trip. We first stopped at Cuyahoga National Park to hit the highlights of what this park had to offer. After exploring an easy waterfall hike, walking around the visitor center village, and finding an awesome farmer's market, we set off to our destination of Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls, being only a day's drive away from Sandusky, was an opportunity we couldn't pass up. Stopping in Buffalo to get some authentic buffalo wings was a nice treat. Buffalo, New York seems like a cool town we would love to return to. After checking into our hotel, we walked over to the falls to get some awesome night views. The next morning, we grabbed some coffee and headed back to the falls to do the Maid of the Mist boat tour. This tour is a very affordable, must-do attraction at the falls, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. There is no other tour on the American side that can get you views like this. The falls are truly breathtaking in person. With our days off coming to an end, we headed back to Sandusky for another week of work. On our next days off, we stayed local and spent time at Cedar Point and Kings Island. Kings Island is only a short drive away from Sandusky and is also owned by the same parent company as our park. Kings Island is one of the best regional parks in the country and has tons of amazing roller coasters and attractions. Our time in Ohio was coming to an end, and it was time to fly back to Texas. The next month or so was spent in Texas working remotely and having some fun. We made a weekend trip to the Texas Hill Country, made endless meals and sweets, spent some more time fishing and even catching a shark on Shark Week, taking some naps, soaking in some fun at Slitterbahn Galveston, throwing some birthday parties and hanging out with the kids, having a little birthday party for myself, and taking more naps. It was great to be able to spend some time with friends and family during the summer when we would normally not be able to. Cedar Point once again needed some help, so we hopped in the car this time and headed back to Ohio for another 3 weeks of work. The road trip to Ohio took us to many new adventures. Our first destination was Hot Springs, Arkansas. Hot Springs has a fun tourist town and is also a national park. We spent a couple hours getting some ice cream, doing some shopping, and wandering through the historic buildings. We finished our day arriving to a hotel in Kentucky. The next day, we started our day at Mammoth Cave National Park. This national park has endless miles of underground cave systems, and most are usually available for touring, but of course, COVID was limiting things. We took a quick tour of some of the caves, and it was super fun. These caves are awesome to be in and is also very educational. The rest of the day was spent finishing our drive to Sandusky, Ohio. The time is now mid-September, and we will be helping out with Cedar Point's Fall Festival while having some more adventures on our days off. On our first set of days off, we made a road trip west to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. On our way, we made a stop at Indiana Dunes National Park. This national park was a bit underwhelming, but was still worth a stop. After completing the drive to Milwaukee, we hit up the Milwaukee Public Market. This market was one of the coolest markets we've ever been to and has so many amazing shops and food vendors. The next day, we started our journey back to Sandusky. On the way, we stopped at some sites in Milwaukee, got some apples and goodies at an orchard, and then stopped and got some lunch in Chicago. Walking around Wrigley Field was an awesome experience, and I cannot wait to go back to see a game there someday. We finished our drive back to Sandusky and geared up for another week of work. On our next days off, we took a road trip south to West Virginia to do some camping. On our way, we made a quick stop at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This was a must-do for me, and it was cool to see all the history and memorabilia. From there, we finished our drive to West Virginia and got our tent set up, in the rain of course. The next morning, we made a short drive to the New River Gorge that is now a national park. The New River Gorge was amazing and provides breathtaking views from up above and down below. From the river, we made the drive across West Virginia through beautiful countryside to the town of Cass. In Cass, we booked a ride on the Cass Scenic Railroad. The train station is located in an old historic city with tons of museums and shops. This 4-mile ride goes up a mountain and back and was a fun, leisurely way to get great views of the Appalachian Mountains. After our ride, we headed back to Sandusky with a stop in Pittsburgh for some dinner and dessert. After another week of work, it was time to head back to Texas. We decided to take a different way back and have some more new adventures. We decided to spend a few days in Branson, Missouri on the way back, so we set off on another road trip. The first leg of our trip took us through St. Louis, Missouri, eating a fun country dinner at Lambert's Cafe, and setting up our tent at the Silver Dollar City campground. With a 2-night camp ahead of us, we made a nice fire for some s'mores and got to sleep under the stars. The next day, we spent the whole day at the beautiful Silver Dollar City theme park. Silver Dollar City is a first-class theme park with a cozy country feel and amazing attractions. While there, they had all their fall decor up and was a fun event to visit for. I cannot say enough how delicious the cinnamon bread was. The next day, we left Branson and finished the drive to Texas. On our drive, we made a detour to Stillwater, Oklahoma for a lunch feast. After hearing several stories about this place, we could not resist going to Eskimo Joe's. Their cheese fries did not disappoint. After a couple days recuperating in Texas, we set off on our road trip back home. We took the most direct route this time, but did stop at Saguaro National Park. After a quick night's rest, we spent a couple hours the next day driving through the park to see the towering cactuses. We spent the rest of the day driving home and stopping at all the Dutch Bros along the way. It was great to finally be home and eat a nice home-cooked meal. That's it for episode 3. Thank you for watching and we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again to all who are liking our videos and subscribing to our channel. We hope this video was a little better quality than the first 2, but would still like your feedback on what we can improve on. We are still taking suggestions on future content you would like to see. We hope to have the final episode of our 2020 Adventure Series out next week. Thanks for watching!